Welcome everyone. We're so glad to be here with you this evening to discuss bachelor's degree options in early childhood education with our lovely speakers from NC Central University and UNC Greensboro, with special guests from the Teach Early Childhood Scholarship to talk about how you pay for these wonderful degree opportunities. So thank you all for being here. To our guests. We'll be doing further introductions as we go along, and I know we'll continue to welcome folks in to the session as the session continues, but want to kick us off just with a few Zoom participation recommendations, best practices. So as you can see, the meeting is being recorded. This is so we can share it with all of you who are here if you need to look back to reference, and also some participants who are interested who couldn't make it this evening. We do ask that you mute your microphones when you're not speaking. If you're not familiar with Zoom, the mute and unmute is going to be down at the bottom of your screen. On a phone and on a computer, it may be up at the top of your screen. But just keep yourself muted when you're not speaking. But we do welcome your questions. So you can drop those questions in the chat at any time. I'll be monitoring those. And then we're going to have time to answer questions as well at the end, where you'll have the chance to kind of come off mute and ask for any additional kind of details or support. But please keep the questions coming in the chat, and we'll make sure to get those answered either during the session or to follow up if we run out of time. So I am excited to introduce our guests that we have with us this evening. So we're going to open the session tonight hearing from our faculty representatives from NC Central University and UNC Greensboro. And then once we've heard more about their particular degree options in bachelor's studies, then we're going to get to hear from representatives from the Teach Early Childhood Scholarship. So with us this evening from NC Central, we have Dr. Waikisha Glass. Would you like to introduce yourself, Dr. Glass?
Yes, most definitely. Good evening, everyone. So glad to see so many faces and names that have connected with us this evening. As Maggie stated, I am Waikisha Glass. I currently serve as the interim coordinator for our early childhood program at NCCU. And so I'm really, really excited to be here this evening to tell you more about the different opportunities that we have at NCCU, and maybe you will be joining the Eagle family. So once again, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Glass. And then from UNC Greensboro, we have Dr. Harriet Bailey and Professor Catherine Aldridge. Dr. Bailey, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Harriet Bailey, and I am the undergraduate program coordinator for the Birth Through Kindergarten, which includes two tracks: the licensure track for students interested in pursuing their teaching license in Birth Through Kindergarten, and then our non-licensure track, which we fondly refer to as early care and education. So we are excited to spend this evening with you, answering any of your questions, sharing information about our program, and hopefully we will connect at a later date. And I will turn it over to Professor Aldridge.
Okay, so I'm assuming you can hear me and see me, hopefully. I'm Catherine Aldridge. I'm the former director of the Online Degree Completion Program at UNCG. And at this point in time, my status has changed a bit. I'm still an associate professor, but I hold affiliate status. And I still participate in the projects I hold dear, and certainly this particular committee and this group of people, these are some that I hold dear. So I'm here tonight because I just want to be. So thank you to everyone for having me, and we've shared this lovely relationship with NC Central and Dr. Glass for a long time, and that's also something we treasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Aldridge. So you'll hear that coming out of retirement to come spend the evening with you. So thank you for being here. And then from the Teach team, If y'all wouldn't mind introducing yourselves as well. Kathy, can we start with you?
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Thornton, and I am with Teach. My role in Teach is the Admin Quality Control Coordinator, and I also have a caseload. And North Carolina Central University is in that caseload. Go Eagles! I am an alumni. It is good to be with everyone tonight, and I as well hope to be hearing from you soon. Pam.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pam McGowan, and I'm a teach specialist, and UNC Greensboro is part of my caseload. So we do have a lot of UNCG students and a big bill that comes in every semester that I have to process. So we're very happy to be here with you and share um, scholarship information.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Love people that pay those tuition bills, so we appreciate you. Um, all right, so at this time, I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen. And we have the pleasure this evening of really having a discussion with our representatives here. So we're going to kick it off hearing more from each university about their programs and kind of alternate back and forth. So if we could, the first question is just to tell us about the different bachelor's degree options in early childhood education available at both NC Central and UNC Greensboro, and what are the different careers that these different degrees best prepare you for as a graduate? And if we could, let's start with UNCG with this first question.
Sure. Yes, we offer an opportunity to pursue your degree in two tracks. The first track is one that leads toward eligibility for your teaching license. And under that track, we spend quite a bit of time laying the foundation for courses that will lead you to eligibility and completing the EdTPA as they do at you at North Carolina Central. So what we do is we kind of scaffold you from course to course with information that will culminate during student teaching, and you would submit your EdTPA portfolio for scoring. Now, that particular track is required for individuals who are wanting to teach in public school. You might want to be an NC pre-K lead teacher. You might want to be a lead teacher in other educational settings that require you to have a teaching license. And so we have a particular track for those individuals. The other track is for non-licensure. And on that track, we have very similar courses. We do very similar scaffolding in preparing students to work with children and families. It just doesn't culminate with eligibility for a teaching license. And on that track, we have directors, we have assistant directors, we have individuals who are in the classroom as lead teachers, but their role doesn't require them to have a teaching license. And we have a lot of students who are working with Smart Start, with social services, with United Way, and other community agencies that also support children and families not requiring a teaching license. And so those are the major distinctions between the two programs. Now, we also have an opportunity for students to pursue their teaching license once they have a four-year degree on the non-licensure track. So oftentimes what happens is students may not take the praxis, which is a requirement for entry into eligibility for student teaching, may not take the praxis, or they may have taken it and didn't do well and don't want to retake it, and they end up on the non-licensure track. well, we do have an opportunity for you still to pursue your teaching license after that. So we just want students to know that, you know, there are various ways for you to meet your own personal academic goals, and we would support you in doing that. Professor Aldrich?
Yeah, that was very thorough. I am going to add, in case we have people in the audience that are interested in early intervention, which Dr. Bailey and I both, in fact, this is how we met 25 years ago, were early interventionists, but that is a career that you can pursue. And most of our students who want to be early interventionists prefer the ECE, the early care and education, as you do not need a North Carolina teaching license to be an early interventionist and work with the Children's Developmental Services Agency. So I just wanted to throw that in as a career possibility because we have a lot of students who want that infant, extreme infant focus. So that's all I really have to add to what you had to say, other than when you graduate and come back following the track that Dr. Bailey mentioned, the praxis isn't required. That's off the table. And a lot of people find that super attractive. And our students are able to go ahead and get kindergarten and NC pre-K classrooms if they are pursuing that extra certificate because you have X amount of time under the residency license. Thank you, Dr. Bailey. All right, Dr. Glass, knock it out of the park, girl.
All righty. All right, so I want to, before I begin, you're going to hear a lot tonight where it's just seem like we're just echoing each other, right? And that's the beauty of what we do at both of these institutions. And as whenever we talk, how we just kind of talked about, hey, we have been in this space before. And so we've been in a lot of spaces together. And that's just the beauty of our early childhood world that we are in. And so at North Carolina Central University, we have two tracks as well that we offer for our students. And so I love to just kind of call it, we have a licensed track and we have a non-licensed track. And so for our students who are interested in obtaining their BK license, we have our early childhood education BK license track. And so, as my colleagues already mentioned, with that track, that's where the Praxis Core exam have to successfully be passed before you are even able to register for upper division courses. And so along with the Praxis Core, we also have Ed TPA. So our students complete directive teaching, which is a 15-week course where you are placed at a school. You're not getting paid for it, but you are placed in a classroom for 15 weeks. Afterwards, you're then submitting for your Ed TPA. So that is our license track, which prepares you once again for that public school setting. It prepares you, as my colleague stated, for that NC pre-K, charter schools, being that lead teacher inside of a classroom setting. Then we have our non-licensed track, which we have our early childhood education with a concentration in child development and family relations. That track there, you do not have to take the Praxis exam. You do not have to take Ed TPA. So nothing literally stops you with that program there. You're able to go all the way through with your courses. That track there prepares you, once again, as my colleague stated, if you're interested in childcare centers, if you're interested in daycare settings, Head Start settings, where you are not the lead teacher in that aspect that is not requiring license, that's what that degree leads you to. Now, the same way that we have students at UNCG, as I call it, they want to be exempt they don't want to take the practice core, or maybe they took it and they were not successful, we also offer that opportunity for students to come back and obtain their second degree, which then you are exempt from the praxis core, but you still have to complete Ed TPA. And so I have students now that are coming back for our second degree and licensure only. As we know, students cannot obtain a degree, a second degree, in the same degree that they received their first degree. So because our program is early childhood education for both of them, students who go that non-licensure track for their first degree, which was that CDFR one, if those students come back to obtain their license, they then just fall into our licensure only track. So you're not necessarily getting another degree. It is just obtaining the license. When you are majoring in psychology or social work or maybe even biology as your first major, then that's when you can then come back as and obtain your second degree in our early childhood program. So I hope that I have answered all of the questions, that question there. So I'll turn it back over to you, Maggie.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Glass. And then I wonder if you could each speak for transfer students in particular. Could you speak to what students can expect in terms of course load, format, modality, and just kind of hearing more about what your typical students' course load and commitments are like. And we'll start with you this time, Dr. Glass.
All righty, I'll jump right back in. And I'm so glad that this question is on there for our distant ed students. And so at NCCU, and I'm going to, Maggie, if you'll put it over in the chat for me, for our NCCU students, if you go to nccuonline.edu, it will then give you a list of all of the distant ed programs that we offer at NCCU. So you will see our early childhood program there. Now, when it comes down to the course load of those students, we really rely on what's best for you. And so I always tell students, you know yourself way better than I do. And so we know that students have many different responsibilities that they are faced with these days. They have jobs that they're working, they have children that they're having to take care of. And so when we begin to start going through advising sessions, I begin to start asking students, if you're interested in part-time or full-time. Part-time, you're typically 3 hours, so that's just really literally one class. And then if you want to increase more, then of course we're seeing students take 2. I have seen students 3 and 4 classes per semester, but it really, really depends on what's best for that student. Now, one of the things, and I've been having this conversation a lot lately, people are like, oh, I thought you guys were 100% online. And I'm like, we're not. So we're 100%, but our classes are set up to, some of our classes are asynchronous, some of our classes are synchronous. And so what do I mean there? If it is asynchronous, then that means that that instructor have uploaded assignments and you don't have a day or time to meet. But then we do have classes that are synchronous, where you will have to meet with your instructor at some point. And so those classes are typically in the evening time. And so I definitely just wanted to make sure that I stress that here, because we have had a lot of students to come and they're looking for that 100% online with no type of interaction whatsoever with an instructor. And that is not the way that our early childhood or our child development classes are set up. You will have to engage with an instructor at some point. So I definitely wanted to put that plug in for students, and especially for this session here as we continue moving forward. So did I answer it all? I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues.
You did. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
So I want to say ditto because our situation is exactly the same. We invite all students into our program. We offer a one-on-one orientation to our program. And in that orientation, we explain exactly what Dr. Glass just explained. Our courses are typically online, but when we say online, we have various formats. One is the asynchronous, and which Dr. Glass explained. The other one is the synchronous, and then we have a hybrid. So there might be some courses where the course is listed as synchronous, but it might be every other week and not every week. And so that is an instructor decision, but understand that we require attendance in those courses. And those will be just about all of our upper level courses are going to be synchronous. As Dr. Glass explained, most of them are in the evenings because the majority of our students who are transferring in are working during the day. And so we do recognize that and make accommodations. So our courses are in the evening. Sometimes it makes for a long day. It makes for a long day. You've worked all day and you might have two courses in the evening, depending on the courses that you have to take. The other thing I want to mention is we talk a lot about the amount of time that is required to be successful in your courses. We talk a lot about planning, being organized, making sure that you have a planner where you are actually writing and recording when you are going to dedicate time to your studies. And students who do that tend to be more successful. When you're carrying around your assignments in your head, when you're carrying around when I'm going to attend classes in your head, oftentimes things get missed. And so we encourage you even at this juncture, keep a calendar, keep a schedule, plan for it so that you can also plan for the times that you're going to be away from doing academic work. So in terms of part-time and full-time, we have discussions about that as well. I often have to caution students about trying to work full-time and be a full-time student and then have a full family life and a full social life. And being realistic, something has to give. And so if your goal is to finish as quickly as possible, then there are going to have to be some adjustments in other parts of your life. And it's not forever, right? It's for a short period of time. However, we have minimum GPAs that you must maintain. And so I just try to caution students and guide students in the direction in helping them to decide what's the best path for them. And oftentimes it's that part-time path. It's that 2 to 3 courses at a time versus students coming in thinking 4 and 5 is going to suffice. And we get students who get into academic trouble when we do that. So Dr. Glass, I'm sure that it's the same in that case. We really want you to be successful, and we will have, I'm like, let's schedule time so I can talk to you. So we can have a discussion about what it is that's going to be in your best interest as a student, so that you do get to the ultimate goal of receiving your degree. And that's what we all want. Professor Aldrich, did I miss anything? Do you have?
You didn't miss anything, but I have something I want to add anyway. Okay. We get students who come to us and say, I'm coming to you for the 2+2 program. And I go, nope, got to catch you there. It's not 2+2, it's 2+. you can do 2 years at the community college and then articulate to us, but it can't be done in 2 years when you come to us. And that is because, and Dr. Glass is nodding too, we have a semester of introductory courses that students need to take. Now, easily, our students bring 64 credits, some of them 67. I get one every once in a while that brings 70, heaven help us all. And they still have to take our introductory courses to establish a GPA at our institution in order to be eligible for upper division courses, which do take 2 years. So along with the conversation about, honey, let's think about this. You work all day, you go home, and you've got a set of twins that are 18 months and then two more that haven't started school yet. We need to rethink this 18. Reality's got to like flying and land up there. But I think the greatest thing we have and the greatest upset is the students who go, oh no, you don't understand. I'm going to finish in 2 years. So if you come to either one of our institutions, we would all love to have you, but we don't want you to come disappointed right out of the chute. And the other thing I want to stress is if you think you're going to do it in 2 years, you're not going to learn what you need to learn. And we want you to learn. It's important to us that you learn what you need to learn. My grandson wrote a note to his teacher last night that said, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher because teachers help everybody learn what they need to know.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
You know what? I'm sitting here going, do not get teary-eyed. So just my little 2+2 speech.
That's helpful.
So thank you.
And thank you for that reminder of how, I mean, you're all entering a complex, deeply powerful and meaningful field. So it makes sense that the training is similarly complex and powerful and meaningful. So I appreciate that reminder. And just to clarify for everyone here, not knowing what degrees people already have that are in the audience and kind of where you're coming from, but when we talk about transfer and the 2+2, it's kind of referring to, for many students in early childhood, you can start out with your associate degree in early childhood education. And then when you step into your bachelor's education, you come in with basically as a junior. So you come in with those first 2 years of your education done. So you come in the upper levels, aside from that, developing that baseline at the university that you've decided that you would like to transfer to. So just to kind of zoom out a little bit, not knowing who's in the room. And then, so next question is just wanting to kind of get a sense of if you know you want to, start this journey, move forward with this, what is the timeline like? So if you're thinking about starting at either of your universities, what's the timeline like for admissions, either for fall or a spring start? And how's that roll out? And oh yeah, let me start this
Hey,
time.
Miss Maggie, how are you, ma'am?
Hi, thank you for joining, Miss Ecclesia. So we'll start with you and
Hey,
Pro this time.
okay, thank you.
We have what we call a rolling admission. So we have students who if you apply in the fall, typically by the beginning of December, it's possible for you to complete that process as long as you have everything together, right? To start in the spring. But you have to have all of your information. If you are, using financial aid, your FAFSA needs to be done. If you're using Teach, you need to have applied to teach. All of those things need to be in place if you are using kind of a fast track application and admission for the very next semester. So we will accept students into our program in either the spring or the fall. We do not do summer admissions. for various reasons, but one meaning being that we are trying to protect you and your GPA. We are not wanting you to introduce yourself to the university and university rigor in a 5-week course. It becomes overwhelming sometimes, and those GPAs count. Those grades that you earn in that first or second 5-week course count. So we just have decided that we are not going to admit students over the summer. Now, you can apply in the spring for fall admission. And we would like for you to apply before the end of that semester, right? Because again, to give us time to schedule some time with you, to schedule an orientation, a proper orientation to where you and I will have some one-on-one time together. So when I say rolling admissions, it's either August, you'll start, or you can start in January, depending on when you apply. Okay, but those foundational courses are required either way. And once the foundational courses are complete, then you have 2 years until degree completion.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Okay.
How about for Central, Dr. Glass?
Yeah, so I can echo that. And I'm going to jump right into spring because we know that it's application week. And so if you are interested in coming to either one of our schools, our spring admission for NCCU is November the 15th. So we are here October the 23rd. You have until November the 15th to apply. And it's the same. My colleagues are shaking theirs. So, hey, you're right on time with this session this evening. And so admission for spring is November the 15th. And then for the fall semester, if you want to apply for the fall, starting in August, that admission is, that deadline is July the 15th. And so we do not accept summer either. So you would not be able to apply for summer for either one of us. So yes. All right, Maggie.
Great. And where should students go to get just, university websites are notoriously overwhelming, right? So where should students go to get their kind of first steps around admissions and what they need to do and what they need to get together and how to be prepared, just like you were describing, so that you can get that fast start and have everything you need in hand and ready to go?
Well, speaking for UNCG, when you go to the homepage, there is actually a command, a link that says apply now or words to that effect. And I can tell by the way Dr. Bailey's angling here that she's getting me the exact words as of October 23rd, as Dr. Glass said. But it is actually, unless they've changed it in the last couple of weeks, it is in yellow font on our front homepage. There you go. And once you go on there and complete that application and send your transcript or transcripts, then you've met that deadline that Dr. Glass was talking about July 15th and November 15th. You can get a few little pieces together in the background, but that completed application, your plan for financial aid, and your the transcript or transcripts. If you've gone to more than one school, even though you got your degree at a school, both of our universities require all of your transcripts to be sent. And some people really don't want to send that one where it was a little sticky and they didn't really thrive there. But you'll have to do it anyway. So just go ahead and bite the bullet. But it's the application process. The universities have really streamlined it, and it is just, it's a touch it once situation. So, ladies, you have things to add?
Well, I just wanted to echo and reiterate what you just said, that on the homepage, there is it's in yellow, it says begin your application. You just click on that. And I also put that link in the chat box that sends you directly to that. So it's very easy to begin. As long if you're trying to do it for the spring, you got to have all those things together. Get everything together.
And Dr. Glass?
Yes, and for NCCU, so right now we are in homecoming week. So if you were to go to our website right now, you're seeing everything about homecoming, right? And so, but if you still go to nccu.edu, you will also see admission, link there for admission. And if you were to click on that, it would then provide you with all of those additional steps of what is needed for our, and that is our, if you are interested in our face-to-face. If you're interested in our distant ed, then if you go to, and I believe Maggie put it up in the chat earlier, if you go to nccu online.edu, you will be able to apply there as well. And so we will soon have a blast that will be coming after homecoming, where it would then be applied to NCCU, that will be displaying probably as soon as you pull up the website. That information will be overpowering and sharing with students. But right now, if you go there and click on admission, you would then be able to see those steps that is required.
Awesome. Thank you. And I see we have a question from Dina. Go ahead, Dina.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies. My question was, because I came in a little later, what is the maximum amount of credits that you all would take? You probably did answer that question, but I came in a little bit later.
The admissions office calls through the transcript and does the degree audit, and UNCG requires 120 credits to graduate, and our students nearly, I would say 100%, but then there'd be somebody that proved me wrong, come in with 64, but it's not uncommon for us to see 67 or 70. Maybe they've gotten in a couple of extra classes, Dina, but we rarely see over that. If you're asking me what the rule is, the rule, and this is nationwide, the rule is that a student must successfully pass 31 credit hours at an institution, institutional hours, in order to get a degree from there. Because else you'd have people going around here to Podunk U, and then they go over to Duke and take a class and get their diploma from Duke, and then there is where would be, or Podunk U, and then they come to Central, or you see, so that's why nationally the rule is 31 institutional hours. Typically at UNCG, students take about 54, sometimes 56, somewhere in there.
Okay, thank you. And my second part of the question is, okay, so I graduated recently, and it was through Teach. So when I was talking to my teacher advisor, she said that typically North Carolina Central, UNCG, and what is your institution, Miss Bailey?
Dr. Bailey and I are together.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Dr. Bailey. I'm sorry. Okay, and they said typically sister schools with Teach take more of the credit. So that's why I was looking at definitely these two school options, because when I did reach out to another university, one that I really wanted to go to, they were not taking enough credit for me to justify trying to apply.
I think I can explain that in a way, but other people can jump in. UNCG, North Carolina Central, and several other schools in the state of North Carolina have an articulation agreement with the community college. And an articulation agreement, believe it or not, it's a law, it's legislation. And they legislate that certain courses at the community college match with certain courses at our schools.
Okay.
But that's how we get to the 64 like that. Now, the school that you, because you were really so misled, thought you wanted to go to really, really bad, probably does not have an articulation agreement with us.
Okay.
And so your community college doesn't have that articulation path. They have a transfer path, but not an articulation path. They're vastly different. And y'all can chime in and make that more clear if I muddied the waters. But in other words, we got an agreement that happens to be a law.
Okay. That answered my questions, because I think that was what was making me apprehensive about even applying for the bachelor's to even do bachelor's degree, because I'm like, it was work just to do the associate. So I know it's even more work for the bachelor's, but it's just like hearing that from the advisor was kind of disheartening, because I'm like, wait a minute, you're only taking how many credits? That means I'm really technically starting all the way over. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you explained that.
Yeah, and we have such strong community colleges in North Carolina. The students that graduate from there are very well prepared for their foundational stuff. They come in ready to hit the road. So anyway, good. I'm glad you've seen the light.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that. I wanted to say, so where you really wanted to go is to one of our schools. That's what you really want to do.
You just didn't know it
You're
yet.
right. You're right. You are definitely right. Thank you. You're right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for that question, because I think that lifted up something that's important for everyone to hear. So thank you, Dina. So continuing on, I would love if y'all could share. I know both universities have several courses as a part of your bachelor's programs that require placements in early childhood classrooms. Could you provide an overview of these? And Dr. Glass, do you mind kicking us off this time?
Yes, so I'll jump right in. So our students do have practicum classes. And so within these practicum courses, I basically look at it, we have three different levels of it. So we have practicum with infant and toddlers, and then we have practicum with preschool and kindergarten. And then we also have a practicum where it deals with families. And so out of those three courses, students are required to do observation in a childcare setting. And so if you are in our practicum course, of course, we're looking at, an infant and toddler, we're looking for those practicum hours to be coming from a infant and toddler classroom. The same when it comes down to the preschool and kindergarten classroom. Our expectation is for hours to be completed there. And then when it comes down to the practicum with families, you then have that range to just overall deal with families within that group. And so, yes, so students are required to complete practicum hours. Along with those practicum hours, you've heard us talk about it. You do have student teaching. And this is that semester long where you are inside of a classroom. And so if you are even on our non-licensure track, you still have practicum hours that come with that program as well. You just do not have the semester long student teaching requirement for that area. So whichever path and track you decide to go on, you will have practicum hours where you will have to be in a childcare or in a school setting for a amount of hours. And that is really that comes down from that instructor with that assignment of typically how many hours you would have to be in those classroom settings.
Yes, our practicum series is very similar. We have an infant toddler setting in which students are required to spend 72 hours across this semester in an approved infant toddler site. And so we have a whole process for students matching up and being assigned to a site once that match is being approved through the School of Education. Then the next one is with preschoolers or kindergartners. So that 3 to 5 year range. The same is true. It's 72 hours across the semester. And then we also have the student teaching, which for us, student teaching is 16 weeks. So it's the entirety of the semester. So the first day of classes for UNCG is when you start your student teaching. So we do a lot of behind the scenes work over the summer with the School of Education to finalize these placements so that on day one, you are ready to go. Our fourth practicum course is a community practicum course, and we call it, it's our leadership course. And it's 36 hours across the semester, but it's not necessarily in an education setting. It can be in any community setting that serves children and families. And you are required to design a project that helps that particular agency reach one of their goals, or that helps support their mission or helps support their value statements. And so there are quite a few hours that are required in practicum settings in our program. It is the same for licensure track as well as non-licensure. The difference is, like Dr. Glass referred to, is the student teaching is not required for the non-licensure track. What is required for the non-licensure track is a student internship. And so that is 12 weeks. And the number of hours isn't the same as it is for student teaching, but it's a significant amount of time.
20 hours a week for 16 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you for that detail. I think that just helps give a picture of, especially as you go through the program, what you're going to be expected to engage with. So I appreciate that. I want to kind of zoom out for a second and say, let's say I have years of experience working in the field. What can I expect to get out of this program? What would draw me into it? What can I expect to learn through this experience with each of your institutions? And we'll start with UNCG team this time.
Professor Aldrich, you wanna take that?
Yeah, I can start with that. I sure can. What we hope is that people with years of experience have been what we call excellent intentional teachers. We hope that they have understood child development to the point of not having to draw on patience because they have understanding and that they have things in place like a strong curriculum. What we find sometimes, however, is that no matter how many years someone has been teaching, they come to one of our institutions, North Carolina Central, UNCG, and they find, oh my goodness, this is a better way to do it. Dr. Bailey, and I'm sure Dr. Glass too, and I have all had students say to us, I took what you taught last night about what fill in the blank, and I went back and started doing it in my classroom, and the last week has run the smoothest it's run in years. And what happens is over the course of the semesters and the classes and the professors and the readings and the infusion of a particular philosophy, the students, and I've had some with 30 years of experience in the field, say, I was making this way too hard. Like teaching the students how to support friendships and the importance of friendships, just as one example, not to mention all the things about doing observations of the child and then writing your lesson plan or activity plan or whatever you call it based on their observed interest. So you're not struggling with them to make them be interested in what you are when, in my case, I'm many years older. And just the little subtleties like observation-based practice and intentional teaching, we, instead of us trying to, like shovel this onto them. We have students that we teach what we teach, and they come back and tell us how helpful it is to them and how much better their classroom is running. And occasionally, what do I do to get this colleague to buy in and this kind of thing? So, it's one of those proofs in the pudding kind of thing. So, there's probably a more professional, articulate way to explain this to you. But I think where the rubber hits the road is sometimes just the best.
Mm-hmm.
The feedback from the students tells me what they're learning, regardless of the years of experience.
And I think one thing I want to add to that is in our programs, what seasoned teachers often experience is finding out the why behind what it is that I'm doing. So sometimes students will come in and say, well, we use creative curriculum. And we're trying to help folks understand that there is research behind how creative curriculum was put together and the why behind why it was put together that way. That gives you a deeper understanding as to why children might be performing in a way that they are. And acknowledging their asset, the things that they're bringing to the table and their interests helps you to design a better lesson plan. So you kind of understand that you have this curriculum that you've been using, but now you can articulate why you're using that particular curriculum and how you can integrate student-led activities into your work that often reduces those behaviors that we might see because we're forcing children to do things that they aren't interested in doing. And so it just gives us a little flexibility in being creative in what we do and how we do it while we're still meeting the standards of teaching. The other thing I wanted to add is from a seasoned person, the richness of the discussions that we have during class coming from someone who's been there and done that, it really helps us to see the fullness of the field. So we have individuals who are very new to the field or individuals who've been in it for 30 years. And so we are able to have those types of conversations about over time, how things have changed. And we get to the point to recognize that some of those things that individuals may have been doing 30 years ago are still relevant. So we have students who are saying, well, I've been doing this forever. There's a reason behind that. And so we acknowledge that as well.
Wow, I love how you just brought that piece in, because that's exactly how I was going to start off with it, as we know that times have changed. And so, being a teacher for 30 plus years or 20 plus years, as Dr. Bailey just stated, some of the things that we're still able to implement in our classrooms settings and still be successful. But then it's also, new ideas, new techniques. As we know, AI is a huge thing that is happening right now that, is being embedded in our early years. So as educators, and even on the level, on our level, I'm having to adjust and adapt and learn AI so I can now implement it to my students, because guess what's happening in the pre-K and the elementary classrooms? They're implementing these types of techniques. Well, AI wasn't here, many, many years ago, 30 plus 40, years. And so I love how, Bailey just kind of stated that, when you have our seasoned teachers, and then when we have our newcomers, that I call them, that's coming out, we're able to bounce these different ideas and techniques of what's actually working inside of the classroom. And so you're able to have those types of discussions, which, focus in on that collaboration piece, right? So when we're able to talk about these many different things in our classrooms, that's why it's very important that we have these asynchronous where we can have these types of discussions happening, because we can then take that back to our classrooms. We can begin when our students who are in the program that's doing practicum, they're able to come back and engage in discussion and talk about the different techniques that they're actually seeing happening in the classroom. And so, yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I would say is definitely that collaboration piece. And then also, the many different teaching techniques and classroom management skills that we will be able to engage in discussion, is what you would get if you were to come to either one of our universities.
I really appreciate that. And thank y'all for giving that perspective. And I feel like that kind of helps me imagine what it's like to be in one of the classes and the different types of engagement you would get as a student. And last question from me, and then I want to hear from our teach colleagues, but what words of encouragement would you offer to students considering this particular step in their education? And who did I start with last time? I started with UNCG. So Dr. Glass, let's start with you.
Truly make sure that you have a passion for teaching. And so I know that oftentimes we want to focus in so much on the salary and the money. And I get that. That's very important as well, because that's how we, survive and take care of our family. But I also oftentimes say you have to have a passion and a love for children when working with our population. And so my words would definitely be to have that passion. Make sure that you have that passion to be able to work with this population.
I think my words of encouragement are it's great to have the passion, but in addition to that, we need flexibility. We need openness. We need individuals who are willing to work with children from all walks of life, children and families from all walks of life. And so some of the things that we bring with us, we have to be open to embracing everyone. So inclusivity, and having a mindset of inclusivity is my word of encouragement.
And because the two of them have given you information that is really profound, I'm going to go down a slightly different path and say, you can do it. You can do it. And, just try not to let yourself put it off, because that's another thing. All three of us here is, oh, I've been out of the community college for 10 years. I wish I had come back sooner, or I struggled all that time. And now I've got a job with insurance and paid that, we hear the positives of the outcome. So I think my word is believe in yourselves. Believe that you can do it because you can. And then go ahead on and do like Nike, just do it. Yeah.
That is a great combination of messages. Thank you so much for that. Well, I want to make sure we've got time to hear from Teach, since we have our amazing scholarship team available here to talk to you about how you can pay for this opportunity and graduate debt-free. That's a beautiful thing, right? So Kathy and Pam, can I pass it to y'all?
Sure, I am going to share my screen. Let's see. I'm learning how to use technology.
Aren't we all?
Okay, let's see. Okay, can everyone see that?
We can. We see it.
Okay.
It's in presenter view if you're okay with that, where we can see the sidebar, but we can see it just fine.
Okay, let me try to get it out of that.
I think if you hit, yeah, slideshow, maybe.
Me and
Play from start.
Yeah, all the way to the left, I think.
I got to get it over here so I can play from start. Okay.
Hiding.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so Pam and I are just going to provide a brief overview of the bachelor degree scholarship options offered through Teach. So Teach is a statewide program designed to provide educational scholarship opportunities for early educators and others working in the early care and education system who work in regulated settings. To be eligible for most Teach scholarships, applicants must work a minimum of 30 hours per week in an early care and learning program or in an agency or organization that is early care focused, have the sponsorship of their employing facility or organization, and we do have an income cap, but at this time, the income cap is suspended. It is $18 an hour, but if someone is making above that, they could still be eligible for what we call a partial scholarship. And that just changes the percentages that each party contributes towards a scholarship recipient's scholarship. There may be additional eligibility criteria based on the scholarship that you are applying for. So, for example, when applying for the bachelor's degree, we do require a copy of your transcript audit to see how many transfer credits you have received. And for Teach scholarships, you must have 55 transfer credits. We have a couple of scholarship options for the bachelor's degree. One is the comprehensive model, which is the one that is on the screen. It requires sponsorship from your employer and includes benefits such as tuition and book assistance, access stipend, release time, compensation, and there is also a commitment component. So as you see, this is a breakdown of, if you look at the top, the teaching staff. So say if you're a teacher applying for a comprehensive model bachelor scholarship, this would be the contributions that each party would contribute towards your scholarship. So the one in red is the raise option. The one in blue is the bonus option. And that is because your employer has the option of sponsoring you to receive a raise for each contract that you complete, or to receive a bonus for each contract that you complete. And you see those options are different for directors that are employees of early childhood facilities and for directors that are also owners and family child care providers. So they are on a model where they receive a bonus. So the raise option does not apply to those models. We also have what we call a working scholars model, and that option is for people whose employers are not able to contribute financially to their scholarship. So the criteria for the working scholars model is the same as the criteria for the comprehensive model. But the differences are there is no release time. And again, the scholarship recipient and the employer is not asked to contribute financially. You still get compensation and commitment, but those are different from the comprehensive model. So this is a breakdown of the working scholars model. You can take up to a maximum of 6 credit hours per semester. 6 credit hours equate to a $1,250 stipend, a $1,250 stipend. If you take less than 6 credit hours in a semester, that stipend is prorated. And there, again, there is a bonus, a compensation component, which is $350 for every 12 credit hours that you complete. Now, while on scholarship, you can also use other financial resources like financial aid to help with your educational expenses. And we do have some scholarship recipients that is receiving financial aid and also participating on our scholarships. So now Pam is going to give you some information about the Bachelor Plus scholarship.
You have that slide,
I'm going to see.
Kathy? So the Bachelor Plus model is a model that we have where if you want to add on like a BK license, so this is for people that already have a bachelor's degree and want to add on that license. It's also for other graduate degrees that would be early childhood focus. So just keeping in mind that all of our funding is for early care and education. So this would be the model that you would use to add on the BK license, to your bachelor degree that you already have. And it follows the same, all of our scholarship models, follow that kind of same pattern where each party will contribute a percentage of the tuition and sometimes books as well. The majority of it is coming from Teach, but that's what we call our comprehensive because everybody's buying in to the scholarship model. So it's a 95-5 split in this model for tuition and books, where Teach would cover 90%. You would be responsible for 5%, and then your employer would be responsible for 5%. We always have some type of compensation with this model. It is a bonus, and so you see the range there from the 575 to 725 for compensation. The 575 comes from the scholarship program. So once you complete the contract year, if you've completed at least 9 credit hours, you're eligible for that bonus. And our models also have a commitment piece. So the commitment is, tied to the completion of the contract and earning that bonus. With this scholarship model, the commitment is a year, and 6 months of it has to be at the within the sponsoring center. And you'll see the other model, the breakdown is for directors and director owners. So if it's a two-party contract, then it would just be if you are a director owner or you're a family-based professional, then the split is just between you and Teach. So it's a 95%. Teach would cover 95% of your tuition and books. You would be responsible for 5%. And then you would get that bonus. Of course, you would just get that bonus, the 575 from us. And if you have some monies that you can set aside and give yourself, $150 dollars, then you would have that 725.
Okay. And we also have, I'm just go back, Pam.
Okay.
We also have BA plus for working scholars as well.
Yeah, it works. The working scholars, it works the same for Bachelor and Bachelor Plus. It's the $1,250 for each semester, for taking at least 6 credit hours in the semester. If you are taking less than 6 credit hours, then that stipend amount will be prorated. If you are taking more, it maxes out at the $1,250 for each semester. And again, that model is for those that employers are just not financially able to sponsor you. And then there is commitment with this scholarship model as well, but it's to the field and not to the particular employer that you're at the time.
Okay.
And that's a very brief description on some of the scholarship models that we have available to you to help you get these degrees and hopefully, get them debt-free. And so that you don't have to take out loans for your bachelor's degree, but you certainly are able to, like Kathy said, have financial aid and teach, and they work very well together to help you have all the funding and the monies that you need to complete that degree.
Right. And you can go to our website. We have scholarship applications and FAQs on our website. It is a lot of information to take in. So sometimes it's good to read it and then follow up with us with any questions you may have. And our contact information is on the screen. The Teach NC is our teach specific email. And the Chapel Hill number, the 919-967-3272, is the agency phone number. Okay, and that's it for us. I'm gonna stop the screen share.
Thank you, Kathy and Pam.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate you joining and sharing that information. And at this time, I think we can take just a few more minutes for other questions that people had. Or we let you go enjoy the rest of your evenings. Any other questions from folks participating? All right, Dina, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, ladies. I just want to thank you for taking your time and answering these questions and stuff. So now I feel a little bit more knowledgeable as to what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I definitely appreciate something like this. Thank you very much.
So glad you were here. And yeah, just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
And then Rachel, were you about to ask a question?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for organizing this forum once again. I know we once had this forum before, like helping us to understand when it's appropriate, like for me to take the transferable steps. My question would be, as an international student, who had a degree before, like the presenter said, we need to present all our transcripts. I already had a transcript evaluated. If I want to transfer, do I still need to send it because I have a copy? Like I was told by the school that I can email my transcript. Is this correct? Can I email my transcript to like NCCU directly, or I still need to request it from Africa to them?
It has to go from one registrar's office to another.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah, good question. If it's an official sealed transcript that somebody has a hard copy, is that acceptable? Just curious. I don't know if that's
if they haven't opened it, if it's still sealed, but most of the time they won't take it because it can be edited, and they'll tell you no most of the time.
okay.
And that's the same at NCCU as well. So yes. Now we have had students if they're wanting to just kind of see what classes will be accepted at the university, they have sent an unofficial transcript, and I can just kind of eyeball to kind of let them know what classes will be transferred in. But when it comes down to applying and getting accepted, we do need the official transcript.
That's one place where we vary a little bit. Advisors at UNCG aren't allowed to do those kinds of preliminary screenings, and I'm sure it's because students in the past have been told things that then didn't come true, and it just all blew up or something. So ours has to go through admissions, and we rarely vary on anything, but on that we do. Dr. Bailey and I aren't allowed to do that. And we can say things like, well, why don't you go back and take Math 143, or why don't you go back and pick up a biology? We can say little things like that, but we can't just, do it.
Wow. Yeah. So if you come to our, so any student that come to our undergraduate and apply through a mission there, our undergraduate office actually complete the transcript. Now, if you come to our NCCU online, our program coordinators are the one who complete the audit transcript. So I am the one who is responsible for looking at those classes, agreeing what we're going to accept for our program, and I am also responsible for going into the system and putting those classes in as well on the transcript. And we only do it for our online. So our undergrad admission completes that, but for our NCCU online, it is on the coordinator. So that's why I'm able to do that.
This right here we just captured as a comma, bless your heart moment.
And trust me, I need it all.
Bless your heart.
That's real. Dina, I see your hand.
Yes, I'm sorry. I do have a question. This is really making wheels turn. Okay, so my teach contract will be up in March. So what if I wanted to apply for a spring semester, I could do so next month?
So yeah, if you wanted to apply for spring semester, I think UNCG and NCCU both said that application deadlines, transcript deadlines, November 15th to start in January.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. You answered my question.
Yeah, and are you asking about the Teach Scholarship deadline for spring as well, if you needed to renew?
No, I don't need to renew until March.
Okay,
I
cool.
have that contract until
Great.
March of 2025. I kept up with all dates and everything of the contract. I had a summer class, and so it just extended the contract until March of 2025.
Great. And I don't know if this applies to you necessarily, but if you start with an associate degree contract with Teach, Kathy and Pam, you then, when you move to your bachelor's degree, you apply under the bachelor's degree scholarship. Is that right? And it's a new contract.
Okay, so I need to reach out to Miss Tijuana then, is what you're saying, to get a new contract.
So your contract ends, so you said your contract was extended?
No, what is that? I had a summer course that I had to take to receive my associates. So that contract ends in March of 2025. I was asked, and I guess that what I'm saying is, could I apply under that particular umbrella, or would I need to?
You would have to apply for the bachelor's degree.
Yes.
When do you graduate from community college?
Yeah. When?
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in July.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you'll want to apply for the bachelor's degree scholarship, in addition to applying for the bachelor's degree program. That makes sense?
Okay, so I need to reach back out to my teacher advisor for that again. Okay, I just want
applying to North Carolina Central?
Ma'am?
What school are you applying to?
I have to think about it now, because these are two great choices. I told you I had one in mind, and they said they weren't gonna take enough of my credit. So these are two great choices. I just need to see which one.
Yeah, I think yeah. But you can go ahead and do the application for the bachelor's degree scholarship for Teach, and you don't have do you have to choose?
Yes.
Okay.
You would just need to send in your scholarship application, and if you decide to go to NCCU, it will come to me. If you decide to go to UNCG, it will go to Pam. So you are actually communicating with one of us that would be a scholarship counselor.
Yay. Okay. Thank y'all. That you answered my question.
Good. I'm glad you brought it up. Any other questions from anybody? If not, I'm going to drop a couple last things. Let me ask our panelists, is there anything you wish you said that you hadn't said yet?
I'm
I
positive that's
see
not
them.
path you really, really want to go down. I'm positive of that. But no, I've said it, everything I had in
Perfect.
mind.
Well, I just hope to see a lot of applications coming in.
Yes.
Me too. And if you have any questions about scholarships, just give us a call. We're happy to answer any of your questions and, help you through the, scholarship end of the process.
Awesome. Thank y'all. So I just dropped a link in the chat. Please do share your feedback with us on today's session. And then also let us know through that form any next steps that you could use support with as we can follow up and help to connect. So that is in the chat for you, and I'll also send it by email. And then stay connected. So you're in a Zoom room with an amazing crew of people ready to support you on this next step in your journey. So that you have folks' contact information. I've put those up here, and you'll be receiving from me an email with a link to the recording, as well as the links that were mentioned during this evening's conversation to the application pages. And then I'll encourage you, your application fees are waived this week. If you apply through CFNC, through the College Foundation North Carolina. I believe you have to start your application there. So I'm going to include that link as well in case you do apply before the end of this week. And then, yeah, we look forward to seeing y'all move forward in this next step, and wish you all the very best. So thank you all, and many, many thanks to our presenters. Virtual round of applause. We appreciate you for making the time and sharing with us this evening. I always learn a lot whenever I get to be with you all, and hearing more about the amazing programs that you each run for your collective students. So thank you very much. And thanks everyone for being here.
And thank you for having us. And thank you all for attending. We
Yes,
hope to
thank
see you
you.
all moving along with your education. Bye.
Thank you
Have a great
all.
night. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.